Right, let's move on to social and economic impact. So when you look at social impact, you're basically looking at the fact that there's increased awareness of foreign culture and there's also loss of local culture. So it's a good and a bad thing. So the good thing, very simple, social culture, talking about learning about other countries, the culture, interacting with them, and the point is that it's very easy by traveling, by surfing the internet, and everything just a click away or from the comfort of your home. So cause and effect is that more information, best of cultures shared, understood, greater culture intermingling. You're talking about ethnic diversity, richer cultures from this exposure to other cultures. On the other hand, loss of local culture, and you hear words like Americanization, you hear words like neo-colonialism. The idea is of a new kind of colonialism that instead of taking land, it's about a country imposing another culture on our country, and usually America is the country that gets blamed for this. You look at global brands and we talk about food, okay, consumer markets, McDonald's, Starbucks, where they have standardized methods of operation, a homogeneous culture, same kind of food everywhere, and very cheap, very no, not very cheap, I wouldn't say very cheap, but affordable, okay, with discounts, so they can afford them, and of course very convenient, located everywhere, and we call this a largely homogeneous culture, a consumer culture to want to consume these global goods. And of course, there's also the idea of the spread of pop culture, MTV, rap music, and some of this is seen negatively because you lose interest in local culture and they basically are very attracted by the pop culture. So because of this, people are very uncomfortable with this. The idea is that they think that people are forcing their beliefs on the rest of the world, and as a result, their own culture may actually degenerate. You will see this word being used a lot. That means being reduced. So for instance, if you see here, good increased awareness. And again, I said before, it's very simple through watching TV, movies, surfing internet, and it's very easy to access it. And from this, you can learn history, culture, and way of life. So you have to memorize this. It has to be a proper factor. Implication, causes integrated economies because first of all, they're more interconnected, more travel interaction, also more vibrant and cosmopolitan society. So economically, the economies become integrated. You're aware of the foreign culture, you want to consume it. Socially, you know, there's more interaction, there's more cosmopolitan societies, there's more a richer culture. Socially, there's more information, more points of reference. Okay, it makes it easier to understand what's going on outside the world. So again, I repeat, economic, you want, there's going to be a demand for the goods on other countries. Socially, you want to understand the country better, points of reference, the history, the background, you can communicate better, and of course socially also a more cosmopolitan society. Now, loss of cultures, the negative impact, Americanization, okay, food, McDonald's, Starbucks, the food industry, and of course pop culture, the music industry. And because of this, youth lose interest in local tradition. These brands are richer, they sell more outlets, they are better able to survive, they provide more convenience, and because of this, they actually drive out local businesses. So people are very unhappy because after a while it seems like all around you it's just McDonald's, Starbucks, and they see that the local businesses are not surviving well, and after a while you start questioning what's your local identity, what's your local tradition, and for them it's a form of neo-colonialism that, you know, by bringing Starbucks and all this over, you're actually dominating another country culturally, causing, first of all, of course, you have a huge share of the country's economy, so you dominate the economy, and possibly as well, cultural imperialism, your culture overtakes the local culture. So it's seen as aggressive because the local culture is dying out, and they see it as degenerating, reduced, being much reduced. Now, we have 4 environmental impact. I want you guys to start memorizing. So 4 is environmental impact and environmental degradation. I link them together, but they're 2 separate things. And secondly would be your global warming, displacement of people, and finally management of the economy, environment, sorry. So please memorize this and fill it into your mind map first. Right. Of course, you can pause at any time, so I said it before already. Okay. So again, environmental impact and environmental degradation are two different things. Impact is just why we are affected. Degradation is more specific. If you want to explain degradation, you must say how it's being reduced. I repeat again. Impact is very vague. Degradation is very specific. You must tell me how it's being reduced. So environmentalists feel that it is destructive because many natural resources are needed, and they are eager to gain economic benefits, and they are more concerned with profits than protection. And the thing is that when they take away all these natural resources, there could be a lack of it in the long run. Again, dire consequences for people in the long run. It's not felt now, but it's also felt by the home country rather than the TNCs, who can always relocate themselves when necessary. So environmental degradation, I say, is about reducing. So it could come under environmental impact, but it on its own you have to show why it's being reduced. So the biggest problem is actually deforestation. We talk about rainforests being cut down to make way for housing, industry, transports, okay? And people allow this because of revenue. And so two examples you have memorized is we're talking about the Amazon rainforest for cattle ranching to feed the cows. They cut off the trees so that there's land for them to pasture on, okay? To basically eat grass on. Indonesia tropical rainforest as well. You know, Singapore haze, okay, because they burn down the trees to clear the land so that they can build cash crops. Cause and impact, obviously, it leads to a series of environmental problems. Without trees, there's social erosion, there's extinction of wildlife, flooding because the trees are no longer there to block, okay, contamination of waterways, even haze, and it's hard to recover. It's often irreversible. You cut down the tree, it takes very long to actually regrow the tree. So let's look at. So again, because developing countries are eager to gain economic benefits, they are concerned with profits, they do not want to regulate, they can easily move away as well. Environmental degradation, rainforest, Amazon forest for Brazilian beef, Indonesian rainforest plants cash crops resulting in haze. So globalization, increase in demand for land and resources, environmental problems such as soil erosion, extinction, flooding, haze are often irreversible, take very long, require a lot of funding, and this obviously affects the daily life and affects the future generation. Okay? So a lot of this is quite simple. You should have done this in Sec 2. Now, displacement of people. Previously we covered environmental impact, deforestation, you know, degradation. Another one is the fact that people are cleared away from the land to make place to build massive projects. So one key example is the Three Gorges project in the Yangtze River. A lot of people, especially the poor people, live off the land, you know, on the forest or whatever they can survive on, and sometimes they are forced to move away. And even if you weren't poor, you know, you're staying in a proper HDB flat, I mean, as in Singapore, or proper housing, you could be forced to move away as well. You wouldn't want to stay near a factory. I mean, the standard of living will be very bad. The pollution, the noise level. So people tend to get moved around, okay, to make way for development. So one example is Three Gorges project. It's important because this dam was supposed to actually help generate electricity for the country, but again, the same problems. You should memorize this already: erosion, extinction, water pollution, displacement. So for economic development, okay, the lives of the people, especially the poor community and minorities, they can't change the way. So sometimes people have lived on that piece of land for ages, and then to be asked to move, their lives, their livelihoods, okay, will change, and staying near development projects basically get pollution, health hazards, you know, other degradation in their lives. So again here, Three Gorges project, Yangtze River, for energy consumption, people displaced, especially the poor communities, okay, lose their homes, possibly their livelihoods, affected by toxic substances, pollution, degradation around them. So please elaborate. It shouldn't be just 3 lines on, okay, but it's quite simple to memorize and elaborate actually. Now, global warming, let's go to the notes first. Increase in average temperature. Why? Because ships, aeroplane, factories produce greenhouse gases, and these gases trap, you know, the heat. So there's an average increase in global temperature, which will cause the sea level to rise, ice caps to melt, flooding, coastal erosions, and of course extreme weathers and droughts causing life deaths. Sorry, I noticed something. agriculture as well and livelihood. Because when there's droughts, the agriculture and livelihood is affected. So can you please make sure you write it down? So global warming from transport vehicles, fumes, greenhouse gases, increase in average temperature, sea level rise, flooding, coastal, all this is fine. Impact is natural disasters, flooding, tsunami, death, which affects the future generation. Cause and effect also is the deforestation that causes more carbon dioxide. Sorry, the deforestation adds on to the damage because there's lack of trees to transfer the carbon dioxide into oxygen, which will just further perpetuate global warming. So it's not being solved in any time in the short run. Please add on as well extreme changes in temperature such as droughts. Okay, so droughts actually affect agriculture, and I cannot write. Alright, droughts. Okay, D actually, please write down, affects your agriculture. Make sure you write this down as well. Okay, of course, agriculture talking about the people's livelihood. So droughts affect agriculture, affect people's livelihood. Alright, last one, environmental management. Okay, obviously it's an impact because we have destroyed so much of our environment that now people are saying, hey, we need to do something about this. So this is an impact from this. So the keyword is sustainable development. Please differentiate between environmental management and regulation. Management is the big word. You manage through looking at sustainable resources. But when you talk about regulations, usually you're talking about conserving. Stop doing, reducing so much carbon dioxide. Stop developing so fast. So the idea is that you need to have a sustained supply of power. Otherwise, you can't keep up. So how alternative energy sources, wind, solar, geothermal. Okay. However, problem is that it's very costly. Implication very simple is that corporate and governments should be working together. And of course, you're talking about a global approach. Okay. Idea is that working together, it can't be Singapore just stop producing CO gases. Other countries must work together as well. So again, increase in awareness. Okay, because this will affect future generations. So you are looking for a sustainable supply of energy and alternative methods. If you're talking about management, you're talking about because it will affect future generations, you need to conserve it by, and again, I didn't put it this, again, please write down, basically your international agreements, okay, to actually reduce the amount of pollution they are creating. So implications is since both corporate and government benefits, they sign agreements to either reduce their emission of greenhouse gases, reduce their development, slow down the development, for instance, or rather, and or if you're talking about management, the bigger issue as well, together with regulation, you're talking about working together to find ways to develop alternative energy sources. So I repeat again, a regulation means you come up with rules to, let's say, reduce less greenhouse gases. There are international agreements on that. Or to implement machinery to reduce the greenhouse gases. And if you're talking about management, together with the fact that you work together to find if there are any new methods of creating sustainable energy. Of course, since both parties benefit, they are working very hard together to actually look towards this. However, at present, it's very costly and it's still a challenge. Now, when you look at all of this, I want you guys to think what environmental impact is the biggest. You might think of cause and effect. So far, you can arrange it in order. It's quite easy. You would probably start off the fact that, okay, think for a while. So what comes first? Alright, so you would figure that probably deforestation comes first. And because of deforestation, then as well there's displacement of the people from deforestation. People who live in the forest, live off the forest. You could also mention that because of deforestation, it worsens the global warming situation. It cannot solve the global warming situation because the trees are now gone. Also, it's because of deforestation is under environmental degradation. So environmental degradation such as deforestation worsens global warming. You take away the means of solving the problem of global warming. Environmental degradation also, because there's environmental degradation, therefore there's a need for environmental management and regulation. Because there's environmental degradation, also there is a need Third, it causes displacement of people who may move away because of the pollution, or are forced to move away because the land is being actually managed. So very clear cause and effect if you're able to actually argue. I mean, it's not that deforestation causes global warming, but because deforestation is the only means of solving it. Okay, so these are things you want to actually think about.